All right, let's talk about something that might just change how you think about building web apps. We're diving into a new language called JAC, and its promise, well, it's pretty radical. It wants to unify your entire stack. We're talking database, backend, front end, all of it, into one single language. So let's see what that's all about.
So, if you're a developer, you know this pain. Oh, you know this pain. You build this beautiful UI, you've got your back-end logic all figured out, and then, the tedious part, wiring them together. You're writing fetch calls, you're wrestling with JSON, managing all these different API endpoints, and just praying everything stays in sync. It's just a mountain of boilerplate, right? It feels less like creative coding and more like you're just a plumber. But what if you could just skip all of that? I mean, really, that's the big idea behind JAC. It's built from the ground up to be this single, unified language where you can write your server logic and your UI components in the exact same place, with the exact same syntax. The whole goal is to just erase that frustrating gap between the front end and the back end.
Okay, section 1. Feels just like React. And this is key, because if you're a React developer, I know what you're thinking. Oh great, a new language. Do I have to throw everything I know out the window and start over? And the answer is a huge, resounding no. Honestly, the smartest thing about JAC's client-side stuff is that it's designed to feel super familiar to anyone who's ever touched React.
I mean, just look at this. On the right, you've got your standard React component. And on the left, that's JAC. They're practically twins. Seriously, in JAC, a component is just a function that returns JSX, period. It's not some brand new paradigm you have to wrap your head around. It's just a slightly different way to define a function. Kind of looks like Python, right? It's clean, it's simple, and you already know how it works.
And props? Yep, they work exactly like you'd hope. You can see the React component over there, destructuring its props like we always do. The JAC component, it just takes item as an argument, and you can even add types. But the main idea, passing data down from parent to child, it's one-to-one the same. For a React dev, there's basically zero learning curve here. You're already home.
Okay, let's talk state management. Components and props feel familiar, that's great. But state, I mean, that's the heart of any real app, right? So surely Jaka must have its own brand new, complicated way of handling state that we all have to learn, right? Nope. Think again.
This part is just brilliant. JAC doesn't try to reinvent the wheel here at all. It just hands you the keys to the car you already know how to drive. You can literally import and use the standard React hooks you use every day. We're talking use state, use effect, use context, the whole crew. You just pop the import statement inside the special cloud block, which tells JAC, hey, this is for the client, and you are ready to roll. And here's what that looks like in practice. It's so straightforward. You import useState, you declare your state, let count, set count, and okay, you use let instead of const, but that's a tiny detail. And then you just use that count variable right there in your JSX. It is the exact same pattern, the same mental model you're already used to. It just happens to be inside a .jax file. All right, section 3, the magic of spawn. So we've established the front-end stuff feels just like React, which is awesome. But, if that was all JAC did, it would just be a new syntax for something we already have. Now we get to the part that really changes the game. This is what sets JAC apart. This is the magic.
So let's just quickly remember that plumbing work we talked about at the beginning. The old way to get your front end to talk to your back end, say to create a new to-do item, you have to write this whole fetch or Axios request. You've got to set the method to post, you've got to get your headers right, you have to remember to JSON.stringify the body. It's so much ceremony, and every single one of those lines is a place where things can go wrong.
And that's what makes this quote so magical. Magic, no more Axios/fetch. It's a huge claim, right? But it cuts directly to the heart of the problem JAC is solving. The goal here isn't just to make API calls easier, it's to make them disappear entirely.
So how does it do it? Well, the secret sauce is one little keyword, spawn. What spawn does is let your front-end code call a back-end function directly, like it's right there. In JACL, your back-end logic is in functions called walkers, and they operate on your data, which are called nodes. So forget about HTTP requests. You're just thinking about calling a function on a piece of data. That's a huge mental shift.
And the difference this makes is, well, it's night and day. Just look. On the left, you've got all that JavaScript fetch boilerplate. On the right, you have the JAC way. It is one single, beautiful, readable line. You grab your data object, here it's the root of the data graph, and you literally just spawn the create-to-do function on it, passing in your new to-do text. Boom, done. All that networking code, gone, vanished.
So what does this actually mean for you day-to-day writing code? It's not just about typing less, though that's nice. This is a fundamental change. It completely simplifies the way you have to think about building a full-stack app. It just makes for a way, way better developer experience.
I mean, the benefits here are massive. You're not setting up API endpoints anymore. You're not fighting with cores, thank goodness. Because your front end and back end speak the same language, you get type safety across that divide automatically, for free. You write way less boilerplate code, and the syntax just feels natural. It's an intuitive way to work with your data.
And here's the kicker. All of this can live together in one single file. You define your backend stuff, your data models, the nodes and the server logic, the walkers, at the top level of the file. Then, all your front-end code, all those React-like components and hooks, they just live inside that special claw block. So your concerns are still separated, but the context is completely unified. It's all right there.
And that right there is the big takeaway. One file, one language, full stack power. This whole setup just pushes you to think about your app as one single thing, not two separate projects that you have to stitch together. It's an incredible level of integration that really does start to blur the lines between client and server in a fascinating way.
You know, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? We have spent decades building layer after layer of complex tools just to get our front ends and back ends to talk to each other. Could an approach like this, a truly integrated approach, be the next big leap in how we build web applications? It's a pretty exciting question to think about. Thanks so much for tuning in.